Now, here's a preview of Powerful Women Revealed.
Some days I'm barely even holding on. Some days I feel like all my hope is gone. But you get me through, don't know what I'd do without you. Some days, some days, some days.
Good afternoon and welcome to WATD's Powerful Women Revealed, created and hosted by Nicole Perry. You're invited to enjoy an ongoing series of personal and educational discussions with a variety of women that want to educate, inspire, and bring awareness to the community. These women all have a powerful mission and appreciate the opportunity to share their stories, milestones, and successes with you. Here's your host, Nicole Perry.
And we are here. Good afternoon and welcome to Powerful Women Revealed. I'm your host, Nicole Perry, and my guest today is originally from Brazil and moved to Boston. Oh my God, I put a blank here. How many years ago?
26 years ago.
26 years ago. Oh gosh. She received her MBA degree from Suffolk University, and although she received an award for her efforts and was offered her dream marketing job, the award was for a sales job, then she was offered her dream marketing job, she was living her life unconsciously. Now she is living in complete awareness in her dream life by helping others wake up, collapse time, and start living their own. Francine Fontana, welcome back to the show.
Yay, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
And when was the last time we interviewed?
I think it was last year in January.
So it was pre-COVID.
It was.
Oh. So you got to go back and listen to that podcast if you're listening today, because that was a really great interview. And I actually want to start saying, instead of my guest, I want to start saying my co-host.
Oh.
My co-host today. So I feel like you're a co-host.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I love this energy of, exchanging ideas and having one-on-one conversations, just you and I here.
Just us. Like we're just going to look into each other's eyes, like I was saying earlier, and just let it all flow through us.
Exactly.
Well, now we're going to talk about in this first segment about mindset. Mm-hmm. And, it's such a hot word right now. Mm-hmm. Don't you believe that?
Yes.
Like everyone, it seems, in my world, in all the ripples of my world, feels like everyone's talking about mindset. And so there's different levels of mindset, like, and I talked about it in my book. So there's like discovering what the heck your mindset is.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's like different dimensions of this mindset that we can have, and overcoming like not so great mindset. And we are not our mind.
No, we're not.
Right? You believe that, right?
Yeah, I do believe that. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and we are a mind, but we're way more than just our minds.
And so who was the one that said, I think, therefore I am? There's so many people like diminishing that concept. Yeah. Because we're not just our thoughts.
No, but I think it just depends on how you interpret it, because it could be in not just the thought, but the awareness behind the thought.
And the belief behind the thought. Like there's so many limiting beliefs.
Yes.
And it like in my book, for instance, it took me 10 months not to change my mindset, but to really shift it dramatically. And I'm still working on it. And this is, 4 years ago when I started writing the book. So how do you help your clients shift their mindset? And do you see different people taking different lengths of time? I guess we're all different.
Yes, we are all different, and it all depends on, what the mindset is, and I think it depends on the person too. Some people have growth mindset where they're always learning and expanding, and some people are just not, and they just are content staying where they are, which are not the people that I normally work with.
So they've accepted
Yeah, and they're not even aware that it's an issue for them, because this is the thing. Like the mindset has to do with your subconscious mind, and we have our conscious mind, which is what we operate from, a rational mind, and we have our subconscious mind, which stays underneath all of that.
Yes,
and we are not aware of everything that's in there, because everything that's in there is literally everything you've ever heard and read and saw in your whole life. It's like a computer CPU. It's recording everything that you ever see.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yes, and the thing is, like, all your core beliefs about yourself, about your place in the world, about the world, they are formed from when you're born all the way to age 7 or 8. So those are like in a computer, those are your operating systems. So the foundation of your self-belief, and then after that you get layers of what you learn from society, what you learn from your family, and it goes in terms of, money mindset, and, you're a place of a woman in the world, anything. And so in order for, if you are someone who is interested in learning and expanding and living your life fully, you're going to come across these points where you face, a self-limiting belief that holds you down. And so
you see it.
If you are aware of it and if you're looking for it, then you become aware. But the thing is, like, we are not very good at looking at our own soft spots. It's and we can see it, but it's a lot easier for other people outside of us to notice those, But if you are inquiring, and if you're meditating, and if you are aware during your life, and you notice what you notice that comes up for yourself, why are you getting triggered about something? And then you look, okay, what's underneath that? I wonder why I'm feeling this way. I wonder why I'm thinking this way about the situation. Then that's when you can kind of dig those beliefs up, and then in order to reprogram, because there is, you have to believe differently. So the first step is to have awareness of what the core belief, is. And then you have to...
There is no step previous to that.
There's no what?
Is there a step previous to awareness?
Well, it's just
desire.
What is?
Like,
if that is your intention with your life, and you want to learn and grow and let go of the heavy weight that's holding you down, then that's an intention behind it. But in terms of working with each self belief or that's limiting, is the awareness of what that one is, and then after that you have to pretty much look at that, and then you realize that, is that really true about myself?
That's when you have to ask the questions.
Yeah, and is this really me thinking that? Which a lot of times you realize, hey, that's something that I heard from a parent, or from my third grade teacher, that it kind of stuck with you. And so then you have to realize, okay, so that wasn't even me. And then we have to, it is, and then you have to, okay, I'm going to reprogram that within myself. So what is, how can I turn this false belief about myself, or this that is incorrect, how can I turn that into something empowering? And then you rewrite that statement. And then you usually rewrite the statement with just something that's completely the opposite. So for example, if you think about I don't know, I can't
go what is that boogie board thing that you do?
Oh, the paddleboarding.
Yeah, because we postponed that.
Yes.
I couldn't do it. I had too much on my plate.
Yeah.
So, but this is not a limiting belief.
No, but you can even think about, like, okay, I can't do this, or like I want to I want to start a new business, or kind of go for that endeavor, but I can't do this, and then so so how do you take that and transform that into an empowering belief for yourself, which is the opposite? I can do this. I am a woman who can do this.
So how do you get from I can't to I can?
you literally you write this empowering belief about yourself. You write it on a piece of paper, and then you write on the other side. You put a line in the middle, and then on the other side you write
I can.
And then you use that as an affirmation to yourself.
Well,
that you use it over and over again to sort of reprogram your brain.
And if you don't necessarily believe it yet, so then I like to say, I'm starting to believe that I can do this.
Or you can say, I am learning to do this. Because if you're starting to believe, you kind of, that's
it's a step.
It's a step, but it's a more empowering statement to say, I am learning to do this.
Yeah.
Because then you're actively, because that's the thing. And then you have to take a step towards that.
Yeah.
So if you believe you can do this, and if I can do this, then what step do I take towards that right now? And then you take a step. And even if it's just a baby step, that's why I'm learning to do this
is a baby step.
It's a baby step towards the doing part, because if you don't do anything about it, then nothing's going to change. And so you take a step towards that, and the learning to do this can be, okay, so I don't know how to do that yet, but if I'm learning how to do it, then let me start doing some research about it.
And then
so
I
can
will
learn
be
more
able
about
to do it.
Exactly.
Whatever this is.
Yes.
The other question I've been asking myself is a really great question. Who am I? And a lot of people, listening might think, okay, if I describe myself, I'm 53, I do this, I do that. But really who I am goes back to what you said in the beginning is not everybody believes this, but you and I believe that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And it's important to keep asking lots of questions. And, when you ask the questions and you journal the questions, the answers start to come through the pen on the paper. For me, they are.
Yeah. We think that we are all labels, right? I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a this, I'm a cook. And the thing is, I actually, a while back, 10 years ago or so, I heard this great definition that kind of stuck with me through times, like, in answering that question, who am I or who we are? And it was like, we are not our thoughts. We are the awareness behind the thoughts. So it's the observer in you, observing you thinking.
Yes. I'm reading about that in The Untethered Soul right now. Have you read that?
I have not. No.
I'm reading that right now, and it's really interesting. Like, I'm not the thoughts. I'm the witness to the thoughts. Is that what you just said?
It's the awareness behind the thoughts, which is the same
thing. It's very interesting. And I think a lot of these things come as we get older. I wasn't thinking about all this in my 20s.
I know. Right?
Were you thinking about this kind of stuff in your 20s?
No. And that's why my fiancé and I talk about this. It's like, I wish I knew all of this when I was 20.
Then, knew what I know now then. Yeah, but you would not, that wouldn't happen.
No, it's not. And it's all part of the journey too, it's the self-discovery.
Speaking of journey, that's what I've been thinking about a lot lately. Like, what happened to the journey? Like, everybody just wants the social media and the buttons and the business and the transactions and the customers and everything right now. And we're living in this I want it right now, I want it right now mentality.
Yeah.
And nothing really happens overnight without this self-discovery and this work.
Yeah.
We really need to do the work.
It is hard work looking at yourself and looking at your soft spots.
I think it's hard work, but I also think it's fun, and it's making me curious and get interested, and it's bringing out the better in me. Yeah. Not that it's that hard. You know what I mean?
No. It is. It's the most rewarding thing to truly know who you are.
Yeah.
And just be fully loving of yourself the way you are right now, accepting everything, including the flaws, because I think a lot of times we think that, our flaws, it's just, let's just ignore that and focus on the positive. But the thing is that we are all of those things. And then there's a way, that you can go deep and your flaws are not really your flaws. They're there for a reason. It was probably like a childhood wounding that you had, and then you can work on your wounding, trauma, and doing deep psychological work to help release that and transform that.
But there's no perfect person.
No, and that's the thing. No one is perfect, and the thing is that you could always get better.
That's right. All right. On that note, we're going to go to break. You can go to fontanacoaching.com to connect with Francine. I hope you stay with us. You're listening to Powerful Women Revealed, the place to go and the place to be, right here on WATD.
Are you getting the support you need to move your business forward? The perfect group for you might just be Powerful Women Rise. We are a motivational mastermind for women who are serious about transforming their businesses and missions. At each meeting, we educate ourselves on topics relevant to the entrepreneur today. And we gain incredible support from a team of professionals with diverse experiences and wisdom. So how do you want to be supported over the next 12 months? Visit powerfulwomenrise.com to register or get started today.
I thought I saw a man brought to life. He was warm, he came around like he was dignified. He showed me what it was to cry. Well, you couldn't be that man I adored. You don't seem to know, seem to care what your heart is for. Well, I don't know him anymore. There's nothing where he used to lie. My conversation has run dry. That's what's going on. Nothing's fine, I'm torn. I'm all out of faith. This is how I feel. I'm cold and I am shamed, lying naked on the floor. Illusion never changed into something real. I'm wide awake and I can see the perfect sky is torn. You're a little late, I'm already torn.
And we are back. You're listening to Powerful Women Revealed. Sorry, we were a little talking over the break. You are listening to Powerful Women Revealed. I'm your host, Nicole Perry. My co-host is Francine Fontana. And in this segment, we want to talk about love. Because why? Why do you want to talk about love in this segment?
Love. I'm in love.
Because
I recently got engaged.
yeah. Is that why you wanted to talk about love, though?
Well, it was just like, because I'm so aware of it at the moment, but there was just so much that comes up for me. And with love, and even in talking to clients and prospect clients, like everyone is looking for the one person in their life, or
just the love in their business or their
everything. In love, in terms of relationship, people are always looking for the one, and also just the love and how you approach life as well. How you go about your life, in general terms.
I think that love can be defined by many different people in many different ways. But recently, I've been reading also A Course in Miracles. Have you heard about this? A Course in Miracles?
I have heard about that. I have not.
You have not read it?
No.
Well, it takes me 14 times to read one sentence, so it's going to take me a long time to get through this book. But they are talking about what do you treasure? And that's another way to look at love. Like, what is it that you treasure, and why do you treasure it? Right?
Yes.
And what did you treasure before you met your true love? Because you had a good relationship before your fiance. I never heard you say anything bad about that other relationship. And so, but what were you craving?
Yeah, no, so this is the thing, though, that I see all the time. People look at, like, in terms of romantic relationships, right? People look at other people or other person to complete them.
Oh, like
they're feeling
Renee
a
Zellweger.
hole.
You
complete me.
You complete me. You had me at hello. All of that. Yeah.
But there's usually something that you like. There's usually a void inside of you that you want to fulfill that void or fill that void with someone else or with a relationship. And when you come at love from that point of view, it's just not going to work, because then you're like not creating a relationship in which you are independent and the other person is independent. You're kind of like leaning, not leaning, but like you need the other person to stand up for, on yourself.
That's right. And you are individual people. You are not one.
Exactly. So you need to be a standalone, whole individual. And then when you are at that point, you can find someone else who is also that, and then together you can sort of grow together. Together. But sort of like my fiance and I use this analogy of like two trees sort of like right next to each other, where they grow together, and then they are like some branches kind of touch, and some of them kind of get more intertwined a little bit, but then the outer edges and the top, they're all individual branches, like reaching for their own interests,
Yeah, and even the trunk of the trees, even though they're side by side, they are completely separate.
Yes, and so you need to be a complete individual, and so that is the whole point. And in order for you to be at that point, the first step is self-love. You need to love yourself in order to feel like you're a complete individual.
And if we are not receiving, so you said if we have that little emptiness inside, right? If we are not receiving something that we need, and we didn't receive it from our mother, father, caregivers, people that helped bring us up in this world, we have to give it to ourselves.
Exactly.
You knew where I was going with this.
Yes, exactly. You can't wait for someone else to give it to you, because then it's like...
And you can't expect the other person to fill that hole, to fill that need, to fill that craving. You have to be the one to give it to yourself. And then whatever they give you is a compliment.
The cherry on top.
It's the cherry on top. You can have your cake and eat it too. Yeah. But you have to give that to yourself. I totally believe that.
Yeah.
And that takes effort. It takes a little work.
It's what we were talking about earlier in the previous segment. Your self-work. You have to work on yourself, and you have to know yourself better.
You have to build those muscles.
You do.
Right?
Yeah.
Just like working out, just like nutrition, just like the relationship with your children or your spouse, you have to build that emotional muscle with yourself.
Yeah. And this is the thing though, this is what I tell my clients now. And I learned this through working with my therapist, that it's sort of like, okay, so when you're looking for someone, you create a list of like all the characteristics that you would like in the other person.
Someone that's funny, somebody tall, dark, and handsome, like all of these different things on the outside.
No, so you list all the things on the outside, because if you're gonna and this is like, if I have a magic wand, I could have anyone I want. So then you put why not put that he's hot and you're physically attractive, all that. Why not? So you can put all the physical characteristics. You can put the characteristics about the personality of the person,
like the humor and the intellect and things like that.
Yeah, and then you can put also characteristics about the kind of relationship that you want to have. So so you can have someone who's or you want to have a relationship that has open communication.
Yeah,
a relationship where you care about each other. A relationship that you whatever it is for you.
Somebody that's enlightened, perhaps.
Yeah, or someone who has a growth mindset. Someone who wants to continue to learn and grow. Because if you're that kind of person who wants to learn and grow, it is never going to work for you to be with someone who likes being stuck and likes being in the same spot.
That's
and
right.
Learn. So you put all and this is 50 or more characteristics on a list, and then after you have this long list, then what you have to do is you have to read each one of them and ask yourself, how do I fill that row for myself?
I love this.
And that's the part about you being a complete person for yourself. So let's say if you...
All right, we have to go to break though. So let's come back. Yeah. Let's come back and continue that. But what a great, I've never heard of filling that for yourself. Love that. All right, we have to go to break. You can go to fontanacoaching.com. You can also go to the Powerful Women Rise directory. You're listening to Powerful Women Revealed right here on 95.9 WATD.
A grapefruit diet is not realistic. A love diet is personal. For over 2.5 years, Nicole Perry has been writing her debut book, I Am on a Love Diet, and it's officially available on Amazon right now. Nicole's debut book, I Am on a Love Diet, is Nicole's story of how she focused on feeding herself love for 365 days and shares her very candid, raw, and personal thoughts about the dieting industry. Nicole's book is nonfiction, but reads like a beach novel. Get your copy today by visiting ilovemydiet.com.
You know, my book is sprinkled with a few thoughts around anxiety and depression, and it's because food plays a huge part in our mental health. As a suicide attempt survivor, I felt even more of a calling to share my thoughts around suicide prevention, because while I was writing my debut book, Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain both took their own lives. Now that we are emerging from COVID-19 and resuming our work lives as best we can, I decided to roll out a new campaign called Grow to Give to support the Plymouth County Suicide Prevention Coalition. Invest in yourself, your business, and your community at Powerful Women Rise as we grow to give together, giving 10% of all membership dues to the Plymouth County Suicide Prevention Coalition. Claim your business category C in one of our teams today by visiting powerfulwomenrise.com and click Get Started.
Lying by the western sea, I let the sky bury me. Lying in the grass of green, I let the sky bury me. But don't wait too long, don't wait too long. No, don't wait too long. Trying so hard not to see, I let my fears bury me. I was loving everyone but me, and I let my fears bury me. But don't wait too long, don't wait too long. No, don't wait too long.
And we are back. You're listening to Powerful Women Revealed. And I got to put a shout out here. That was, Shanae Patterson? I thought it was Esme.
It's Esme.
It's Esme, right? I don't know. My computer did a little correction there.
I know.
Find
I
it.
had a hard time finding it.
I'm sorry. You should have told me. So that was Find It. And I love what she says, don't wait too long. And I let my fear bury me. Very interesting. So before we went to break, you were talking about that long list. Create that long list. Go for it. Put everything you want in there, in the kitchen sink, everything that you want in that other person, right?
And
Because
in a
you have to claim it.
Yes.
You have to claim what you want in this world.
Yeah.
Because the universe or God or whoever you believe in won't know who to send you if you don't claim it. But then you said, right before break, after you put that list, each one do what?
You have to look at each item and figure and ask yourself, how do I fulfill that for myself?
That is fascinating.
Yeah, and it's all about how you feel too. So let's say if you want someone who is like, oh, I want someone who's successful, then you ask yourself, do I feel successful? You know, and if the answer is no, then okay, what do I have to do to feel successful? You know, or anything like that. Or, oh, I want someone who is adventurous.
You know,
But then how am I adventurous? Like, I spent the whole weekend on the couch eating, watching Netflix. Okay.
watching Survivor.
Yeah. Or that. There's a little bit of a disconnect.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So that is very interesting. It's important to ask us these questions.
Yeah.
And don't wait too long. It's never too late.
No, it is never too late to find love. It's never too late to be the person you want to be, you know, because this is all about you being the person you want to become. And so, you know, and be that right now. So if you see a gap in the, you know, something on the list and you're not fulfilling that for yourself, but that's something that you really want because you put it on the list, then what steps can I take today or this week to become more of that?
Ask those questions, but really it's get curious. It's everything is a choice, but when we make that decision for what we want to do. But some people are just living in a state of fatigue. Like, you know, they're living in fear.
Yeah.
Fear is all ego. I'm learning.
Yes.
Learning. There's the word learning.
It's a
again.
part of the ego, yeah. And, you know, and I think too, a lot of people are in, I call it like blah mode, you know. They just kind of go through the day and
Go through life
and just kind of don't question anything. And a lot of times people complain about their lives. So let's say, this is so common, right? People complain about a job that they don't really like. Then they say, okay, I'm going to find another job.
But then they find complaining about that job in 2 years from now.
Yeah, but you know what they do? They take the same components from the old job and they just rearrange it in a slightly different way, and they find a job that's just very, like, all the components are there. They're just rearranged differently. They're not really kind of, okay, this isn't working for me.
That's not really growth.
No, it is not. It's just rearranging things, and
that's not you. Although you can grow a little tiny bit from a new experience.
Yeah. Well, you learn new skills.
Maybe,
you know.
Maybe new skills. And you're learning to work with new personalities.
Exactly.
But that's not real growth.
No, it is not. And people think it is, you know, and it's just not. So in terms of decision, and that's kind of going back to the decision what you mentioned about, it's like, yes, you have to make a decision. Just say, okay, like, this isn't working for me. Yeah. So instead of thinking like, oh, I'm just going to change, I like say 6 for half a dozen. Okay, so what is it that I would love? And you know, we talked about this last show. It's like, what is it that I would love to have or to experience in my life? Or in terms of a job, what kind of job would I really love to do? And then that's when the fear comes in, because then you go, oh, well, but I don't have the education, but I don't have this, but I don't have that, but I don't know this. But really making a decision to go for it and taking the steps to go.
And sometimes the fear can subside or go away when something tragic happens. Somebody's faced with cancer.
Yes.
Or, you know,
or a car accident that, you know,
or a deathly, you know, close to death experience, or they're facing, you know, something as horrific as the death or the end of their life.
Yes.
And they wait you know, until something like that happens. But a lot of people in the world will never have something horrific happen. And they're waiting for this, what did I write down? This big break or this big light bulb moment.
Yeah.
And that moment is now.
It is now. And this is the thing. I learned this is a big lesson I learned from my dad a few years ago, because I was in a relationship when I was married and I was so unhappy. And I'm a Libra, right? So I'm like, oh, on one side, these are the pros. On the other side, these are the cons. You know, the pros.
On one side of the paw.
Libra. Libra, yeah. The pros and the cons to stay married. The pros and the cons to get a divorce. And I'm waiting the back and forth. And I was in analysis paralysis, and I could not make a decision. And I was in that place for years.
But you were working at it. You were trying to be responsible, and
that's what we tell ourselves. But the point is, 2 years of that is, you know, like, and that is a perfectly acceptable process to go through, but not get stuck on that process.
Yeah.
Because this is what my dad told me. He's like, okay, Francine, like, you have to make a decision. Right? You know, it could be the decision to stay married or the decision to get a divorce, but make a decision. And I'm like, I know, I'm trying, I just can't decide. And he's like, okay, but just know that not making a decision
is a decision.
Mm-hmm. So you're
And-
deciding to stay where you are.
and going all that back and forth and pros and cons. It's okay to take a day or a week or a month to figure something out, but going
Yes.
back and forth for so long, you were rationalizing and rationalizing.
Over rationalizing.
Over rationalizing.
Over.
Well, I was just kind of guessing, but
Yeah.
if you're over rationalizing, that is a form of fear.
Which also, yes, and it is fear because you're stuck in fear when you are in that pattern.
Yes.
You are stuck in fear when you're in that pattern. And this is the thing that we learn to make decisions based on, like what you learn at school or
The
what
foundation,
you learn.
that foundation till you're 7 or 8 years old that you talked about at the beginning.
Well, no, that you learn more about the world, but like you learn, like when we think about decisions, is we think about, we got to be rational about it. We got to be like kind of follow like an intellectual process of being rational and making a decision that quote unquote makes sense.
And am I the decision maker? Am I and if I'm in a relationship, should I be making this decision alone or should I be making this decision with my partner?
Yes, but decisions are made in terms of that way that we're speaking about. They're made from a rational point of view. What I challenge my clients to do, and which is what I have been sort of working on training myself as well, is spiritual decision making. In addition to not just throw away the rational decision making, the things that make sense, but also add a layer to that and make a spiritual decision making, because you know what? Deep down in our heart, deep down in our gut, we know when a situation is right for us. We know when a situation is wrong for us. And if you try to rationalize everything, you're leaving that layer out about what is it that I really love to have in my life. And does this sit good with me? Is this something that makes me happy, that makes me fulfilled, in a job, relationship, whatever, life,
It's time to take a stand and have the courage to be your own tree. We talked about the individual. If you are not the sole decision maker about your job, J-O-B, that you're not happy in, but it's bringing in a certain income, you have to stand in your own tree.
In your own power.
Your own power. We give so much power away.
Yes, we do, don't we?
To things that don't matter.
Yes, they don't, because they don't matter.
Things that are just don't really truly matter, because at the end of the day, whether you have children or not, everyone in your family, they all want you to be happy and fulfilled. True fulfillment.
And when you are, and even like you're saying, kids, when you have kids and you live that life, feeling fulfilled and being in your power, you're teaching your kids one of the most important
and they
skills,
need that.
and emulate that for
They're
their
not gonna-
lives. No, you don't learn that at school.
No, they're not going to learn that at school. No. And we have to go to break. Oh my God. It is going by so fast. All right. Well, I hope you stay with us. My guest is Francine. My co-host is, I got to start learning how to say that, Francine Fontana. You can go to fontanacoaching.com, and you're listening to Powerful Women Revealed. This is the place to go and the place to be, right here on 95.9 WATD.
Are you getting the support you need to move your business forward? The perfect group for you might just be Powerful Women Rise. We are a motivational mastermind for women who are serious about transforming their businesses and missions. At each meeting, we educate ourselves on topics relevant to the entrepreneur today. And we gain incredible support from a team of professionals with diverse experiences and wisdom. So how do you want to be supported over the next 12 months? Visit powerfulwomenrise.com to register or get started today.
Never will I feel discouraged, 'cause our love's no mystery.
God, what a great line. Love has kissed me in a beautiful way. That was the Emotions. What was the Best of My Love? Can't believe I haven't played that song yet.
That's a good one.
Such a good pump you up song. This is our last segment. Just in case if I don't have time, you can go to fontanacoaching.com for more information to connect with Francine. And what do you want to talk about in this last segment?
You're putting the spot on me. Well, I think
who's your ideal client? Like, we know who your ideal client is based on the conversations we've had. But if you really had to funnel it down to like one thing, who do you really want to reach out to you? Who do you want to help and support?
I want to help women who want to change their lives, and and goes back into the decision. They are making a decision to do it and taking the steps, action to do it, and want to do the work to do it. Because I talk to a lot of people a lot of women and people in general who want to change their lives, but they don't do anything about it.
So they don't want drive-through. You don't want that drive-through person.
No. It's sort of called the dabblers. Like they dabble in personal development, and that's the thing. Like there are a lot of people who read personal, self-help books or spiritual principles. And
well, that's me. I do a lot of that.
Yeah,
but I am not wanting the drive-through.
You need to want to go deep into yourself and really looking at your core. At what is at the core of you? What are your core values? How is it that you want to live your life? What kind of legacy do you want to live? Live after when you're gone, and kind of and have the courage to live into that, and it's so easy to say, oh, I would love to have this, and it's always in the future. It is always in the future,
But like what you need to today,
you need to take that and bring it into today. So think about the best version of yourself.
And how about the person who is struggling to get up out of bed? They just are not like really pumped and excited about their normal everyday life.
Yeah. Well, there is such thing as clinical depression, and if that's your thing, then obviously go get help and support and do whatever you need to do.
Every life
to
matters.
Okay.
Just saying, every life matters.
Yeah, so you have to take care of yourself from that point of view. And obviously those are not the women that I'm working with. Those it's part of the journey, and hopefully at some point they will be in a place where they want to take steps forward. But it's just really being like, you have to find the motivation to do it for yourself. Like self-parenting. It has to
come within. It has to come from within.
Yeah, it does. And you have to parent yourself into doing it as well, because, someone says, no one's going to come into your living room and shut off Netflix and tell you to go outside. And
just like exercise, no one else can make you have a cute little butt. Like, you have to do that for yourself.
Yes, you want to.
So the same for your mind.
Exactly.
And, it's all about building all of these muscles. And you're there to support and guide.
Yeah. And because it's their dreams. I cannot dream it for them. We are all so unique, so uniquely us, and we all have dreams that we all want to, certain core basic stuff. We all want to feel fulfilled and all of that. But what the specifics of that is just unique to you, unique to me, unique to, each one of the listeners. And so you're the one who has to find that out for yourself. Like, what is the purpose? What is it that you truly want for your life? And then have the courage to take the steps, and it's not easy necessarily, but there's help and there's support. There are structures of support that you can put around you and around your dream to help you get there.
So how about
because there is a formula for success in order how to achieve that. So
how about the person who doesn't necessarily know what their life purpose is? And we're almost out of time.
Yeah.
But how about that person?
And that is okay, because it's still just maybe you're just in the discovery process. It's just stay with the question. It's again, it goes towards
who am I? What do I want?
What is it that I really want to do with my life? And just keep asking yourself that question, because
what do I treasure?
Because the more you ask yourself that question, your subconscious mind will go to work, and eventually you're going to have a aha moment or a click, or you're going to see something that's going to trigger something in you, and you're going to know. But if you don't ask the questions, you will never know.
But you can actually support somebody who doesn't even know what they want.
Yes, exactly. And I do. It's like we stay in the discovery face. And then the thing is, if you're not doing anything and if you're not going for anything, you're staying stuck. You're staying in the same spot. So do something, because even if you don't know exactly what it is,
do something.
If you take a step towards something, you're going somewhere. And then as you're taking steps, then you can always readjust your course. And then as you have new ideas, new insights, you can just always shift your steps, you know.
Speaking of course, I'm reading A Course in Miracles right now. What are you reading right now? Or what have you just read? Or what book do you like gravitate towards that you just keep finding yourself wanting to, you know, dive back into again?
I've been reading a lot about, there's a little book that I read that is just amazing. It's so simple. It's called U Squared. And right now I don't even remember the name of the author, but it's you know, with the two on top.
With the two. Oh,
yeah. And
okay.
It's a small little thing, but it talks about like quantum leaping your results and taking quantum leaps, steps forward in your life. It's amazing.
I love it. Thank you so much for being my co-host today.
My pleasure. This was so much fun.
You are so much fun. And you can go to, again, fontanacoaching.com for more information. I want to leave you with this final quote by J.M. Storm. Sometimes the hardest person to walk away from is the person you've always assumed you were.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
That is a great one.
I want to thank you so much for listening and helping end systemic racism by doing what you can, speaking out, and simply caring. I hope you will tune in next Sunday after the news at noon. Until then, I'm your host, Nicole Perry. Have a great week, and remember, knowledge is power, and it's what you do with that knowledge that matters.